The list of companies working with Apple Pay just continues to grow and grow as Apple has announced it's signed up dozens more banks, retail stores, and startups. Joining us now to talk about all Apple Pay and all things Apple Pay is Dan Costa. He's the editor-in-chief of PCMag.com. And I got to say, Dan, which of the big banks, have now signed up for Apple Pay that you think will have the most impact in terms of the volume of credit cards being issued for purchases? In other words, which bank is going to put Apple Pay to work in the most efficient and meaningful manner here?
So they already had a lot of the big banks. The big ones they just announced are TD Bank and Commerce Bank. But I think the thing that's even more interesting is that they're signing up all of these local credit unions. So they've got the big banks, now they're going into the little banks, and it's really becoming this ubiquitous service. I think all of those little banks are going to add up to a lot more users than even the big ones.
So it's these small banks. You're telling me basically that we're going to see more and more people use them just because more and more banks are already starting to use this, right?
Yeah, and it's going to be more available. If in New York City, you go to retail stores. There's a lot of places that take Apple Pay, but it's got to get to the point where it's ubiquitous, and I think all that banking support is going to help.
All right, so now the banks are on one side, but now you got to get the retailers who actually accept that payment to adopt it as well. Apple has already gotten a lot of companies to sign on. More and more are doing it. So is it too early to call this a success, really, for Apple?
Well, Apple doesn't release actual numbers in terms of how many people are using it. Tim Cook has said that 1 million people registered their cards in the first 72 hours. Whether 1 million people are actually using it on a day-to-day basis remains to be seen. But Whole Foods, for example, is saying that 1% of all of its transactions are happening via Apple Pay now. So that's a lot of kale.
All right, that is a lot of kale, and I should be eating more of it myself. But all right, so in what way do you think that Apple Pay is playing in bringing new industries into a new digital age, if you will? What's it doing to transform the models that certain businesses have and how they operate?
So you've got it in these big retail stores that have the infrastructure and also had the NFC support before. The thing that I'm really looking forward to is that Square announced that they're going to be offering NFC support in their hardware next year. And Square is used by a lot of small businesses, a lot of coffee shops, a lot of places that don't have a lot of infrastructure. And they're going to support Apple Pay starting next year. That's when I think it's really going to turn the corner and be something that not only do you get at the McDonald's and can use at McDonald's, but you can also use at your local coffee shop. I think that's where this turns the corner.
All right, so it's big banks, big companies, and now even small businesses and small companies that could take advantage of Apple Pay. Dan, thank you so much for joining us here on the Tech Bet. That's Dan Costa, editor-in-chief of PCMag.com. And thanks for watching Tech Bet. I'm Dominic Chu. Until next time, have a great day.